In the last 3.5 years, we have sailed halfway around the world on our 37-foot boat, Florence, exploring new countries, new cultures, and sharing our adventure along the way.
After seeing the Komodo Dragons and exploring on land in the last episode, this time we dive in to have a look beneath the waves here in the Komodo National Park.
After our dragon experience, we were just spending a couple of days catching up on boat jobs in a calm, quiet bay.
There's lots of little things that make cruising just an amazing experience. We were both down below video editing. We just popped up on deck for a cup of coffee and looked over the side, and there's Manta Rays circling the boat. Amy's just going to hop in and have a closer look. Komodo is known for the number of manta rays here, but we did not expect to have them just circling Florence like this. These were skimming the surface, and the crystal clear water made them easy to spot from above.
I think they're feeding. They're just cruising back and forth on like a line, but you can't see them until they're pretty much right on you, and they don't seem like they want anybody too close to them today, so I didn't get too far or hassle them, but they're awesome. It's a shame they're not as keen on selfies as the Indonesian kids though.
We're not alone in the bay. These guys are a little bit bigger than Florence. 87 metres long, that boat. I don't think our mast would even reach their bottom spreader. Probably wouldn't even reach their boom.
Always something to distract you from boat jobs. I was trying to clean the dinghy and noticed that there's loads of squid underneath the boat, which are all chasing little fish that I think Matt was maybe attracting when he was scrubbing the prop. They're awesome.
I've been in the water scrubbing off the prop, and I think all the barnacles and bits attracted loads of little fish, and then these squid have come after those little fish.
We've seen these big fin reef squid across the Pacific, but never this many all hunting together. Closely related to the cuttlefish that we saw in New Caledonia, these squid can rapidly change the pattern and colour of their skin.
We don't know if this squad were working together, but it seemed almost like they were herding the fish before one would dart in for the kill. Well, we think we can put a score on that bay. Wildlife 10, boat jobs 0. Today we're sailing on to Gili Dawa and the Golden Passage, where the manta rays are supposed to be hanging out, and with reports that the coral is pretty good there too.
There is a lot of current running along this reef, so we took the dinghy and motored upstream before jumping into the water to drift down with the current.
With our little dinghy engine, we have to be careful to only swim around slack tide, otherwise the current would flow faster than we can motor.
Whilst taking it in turns to tow the dinghy, we dove down to have a closer look at the reef.
This reef is stunning. It's just packed with coral and fish. Everywhere you look is colour and movement.
The current running along the reef keeps it well supplied with nutrients, allowing this stunning variety of coral and fish life to thrive. Only those who live here are allowed to fish inside the national park. The lack of commercial fishing boats makes a huge difference to the quantity and variety of marine life here.
As well as its dragons, the Komodo National Park is famous for its diving. As we drift along this reef, we can really see why.
As we explored towards the outer edge of the reef, we came upon a back eddy where the water clarity changed and there were hundreds of these jellyfish in the water. But jellyfish were not all that we found here.
Yep, loads of manta rays cruising up and down in the current. And these ones were not shy about getting up close and personal.
Manta Rays are always a joy to swim with. And we know we've said this before, but this really is the best reef we have ever seen. So much so that we jumped into the dinghy and did it all again and again.
We're just leaving Komodo behind us now, and we're making the most of some breeze which we've got today. Don't normally get this in this part of Indonesia. We're actually just considering whether or not we skip the stop we're planning to go to here on Sumbawa and go on to the next one and make use of the wind, because it's not forecast to be any tomorrow, but I think it's going to be a little bit too far and we wouldn't actually make the next one until nightfall. We'll just have to see how we go.
We decided to give it a go.
We were planning to sail to Wera Bay today, and the next decent anchorage that isn't out of our way is Kilo, but at 64 miles that is right on the limit of how far we can go in daylight hours, even with good wind.
If we don't make it to the anchorage before sunset, we'll have to carry on sailing through the night. We're not the only ones making use of the wind out here. The local boats have set their sails too. It's been a while since we went to either a supermarket or a market, so I felt the need to make something fresh, but I seem to have this memory block every time we go sailing, and it's a little bit choppy as to how much more difficult it actually is to keep things in one place. So we have the bread, but we also have flour everywhere.
I'm not going to say I told you so, but...
Do you want some bread?
Oh, I'm not saying anything. Yes, please.
At least the flour isn't as bad as eggs, or what was the worst we've had?
Custard in the fridge?
Custard in the fridge, yeah. Peppercorns everywhere. You
We
name
were
it.
finding peppercorns for like months after the
Yeah,
Atlantic.
well.
The wind dropped off as the sun started to go down, but Florence got us there just in time.
Not quite as early as we liked, but looks like we're going to make it before sunset.
Yeah, just about.
There was no time to go ashore here if we were to make our next planned stop. So it was up and sailing on again at dawn the next day.
It's a real reminder that we're actually in the ring of fire here. And just looking on the hillside, you can see perfect cone-shaped volcanoes all the way along here. I just looked up and noticed and thought, that's pretty cool. We've actually sailed past a couple of other volcanoes, one that was emitting puffs of smoke and we could see it glowing from our anchorage in the night.
Not as active as Vanuatu, that one.
No, not as active as the one we saw in Tanna, Vanuatu.
We sailed on to an overnight stop at the town of Kilo, and were then up again at dawn for a full day of beating up wind to get to our destination at Selir village, the Sumbawa stop of the rally. We would not normally race past so many places without stopping to have a look, just in order to get somewhere by a fixed date. But we'd been promised something very special in Sumbawa, if only we could get there in time.
Next time, we find out if the rush to get to Sumbawa was all worth it. thanks for watching. We want to say a big thank you to all of our patrons who support the making of these videos.
Especially to our star patrons, Alan Becky, Robin Reamer, Kate and Peter Adkins, Joshua Baxter and Roger Wank.
Your generosity just blows us away.
Thanks guys.